In this video, I'm going to show you how to build this wooden cell phone stand. Hey everyone, welcome back to David's DIY Reviews. On this channel we do a lot of woodworking builds, tool tutorials, and tool reviews. This video here, we're making this wooden cell phone stand. This one here is a really neat one because it only requires cutting to build. The height's going to be 7 inches, the support's going to be 5 inches. And all those details, dimensions, instructions will be in the description below. So don't forget to check down there if you need the details. And don't forget to subscribe for a lot more really great content just like this. Now let's get into the build. So the first step is going to be doing your layout for the bottom piece. So I'm just going to mark this at 5 inches and then draw my line across. And then you want to lay out the notch. And the notch is going to be 1.25 inches up from the bottom. And then you're going to cut the notch halfway across whatever the width of your material is. And then your notch is going to be just over 3/4 of an inch wide so that the two pieces can slide together. So then you just want to go ahead and draw your notch. That way when you cut it, you can stop exactly where you have to. So I'm going to go ahead and lay out both pieces at once. Now I know if you lay out both and then you cut it in half, you're going to lose a bit of length because of the kerf, which is the gap that the saw cuts. But for this project, it's not the end of the world. It's more of just a decorative piece. So I'm going to mark that and draw my line across for this is the upright piece. And for the upright piece, the notch is going to be 2 inches up from the bottom. So I'm just going to mark that. And then I'm going to go ahead and lay that out, draw it out the exact same way I did the first one. So now you're going to have both pieces laid out, ready to cut. Now I'm going to use my miter box and just a regular hand saw to make these cuts. But I mean, you can just hold the piece of wood, you can clamp it down, whatever works for you. Now I would recommend cutting both your notches out before you actually cut your piece in half, because that's going to make it a lot easier to cut the notches instead of having to handle smaller pieces of wood. And you just want to cut all the way down just to the bottom of your notch that you drew. So cut both sides right down to the bottom. And then what I'm going to use to cut the bottom of my notch is just this little wire coping saw I have. It works really great because you can just put it down in there, turn it 90 degrees and cut across. But you can use any coping saw for this, or you can just cut down in with your hand saw a few times and then break the pieces off and sand it or file it or whatever works for you just to get that notch cut out. And then you just want to do the same thing with the other notch. And remember when you get to the bottom of your notch to make sure your saw is flat so that the bottom of your notch isn't going to have angles. Now in order to cut your second notch out with the coping saw, you're going to have to cut your pieces apart because the C of the coping saw that I have isn't big enough, and most won't be big enough, to cut that bottom notch out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my pieces in half now. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the other bottom of my notch in the upright piece. And when you cut with a coping saw across like this, it's easy to, kind of get out of whack a little bit or have your line not be perfect. But that's stuff you can fix up later with a file or some really coarse sandpaper. So don't worry about that too much. Now you just want to give it a good little sand. Sand up all your edges. Sand in that slot that you made really nicely. And then it's going to look really good. And once you're done, you could paint this, you could stain it. I like to leave it raw because I kind of like that look. You can do whatever you want. And like I said, guys, all the instructions and dimensions will be in the description below. And if you're looking for some other kind of wooden quick builds like this, check out the video on the YouTube card above. It's 4 other really quick woodworking builds like this. This one's a lot of fun. It's a quick build. It's functional as well. And don't forget to subscribe for a lot more really great content very similar to this. You're going to love the channel, David's DIY Reviews. I've got weekly videos. See you in the next one.